Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your UFC, or our UFC, but your UFC as well, London pre-fight show. My name is Eddie Law. That's Jesse Ruvalcaba. We're going to break down this card, 13 fights, and all going down tomorrow morning for a lot of people. The prelims begin at, let's say 1 p.m. Let's say it's 12:45 p.m. Eastern time, 9:45 a.m. Pacific time. So if you're going to catch all the fights and you're in the West, get yourself some coffee, some nice breakfast, and it's like breakfast and fights is the best shit. And then the main card is technically 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. So I'm going to be getting home just in time for that, hopefully. So I can watch that here. Obviously, I'm in Arizona, so I'm an hour after Pacific time, and I'm 2 before Eastern time. So it's always fun to figure out. All right, let's kick it off right away. First fight of the night, David Timur against Martin Svensson. Both Swedish guys, or from Sweden, whatever. Both on tough, was it 25 or 22? 22, right?
22, I believe, yeah.
Tough 22 guys, teammates, in fact, and now they get to fight each other. So Svensson's obviously the more experienced guy, has a 14-5 record. Timur only has 3-1 record. However, you told me right before we started this thing, an interesting thing about the bets. What is the actual line on this?
David Timur, he's a minus 200 favorite against Martin Svensson's plus 170. So the guy with the least amount of experience is the one that they're giving the nod to. Yeah, we were talking about that. It just seems weird that a guy with more experience is not getting the respect he deserves in this fight. But I don't know. Maybe these people know somebody we don't, or maybe they just don't know what the hell they're talking about.
And it's weird though, but I mean, look, if you watch any of his highlights when he was on the Tough Show, he's just bombing dudes. Like he's blitzing guys, throwing bombs, trying to hurt you, trying to knock dudes out. That might be what they're looking at here. Svensson's a fucking crafty dude though. If he gets one chance at a submission, I think he takes him. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Timur can get out of submissions from what I've seen. He can get out of that stuff, but I don't know. I'm picking Svensson here, man. Svensson, almost purely on experience and lack of respect, he's gonna come in with a chip on his shoulder, ready to prove something. Who you got?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, like we've always said, I think they build these cards kind of trying to build up like towards the main event. And it kind of seems like they want to give Timur the opportunity to, start off with a bang and knock out Svensson. But I was looking at his record, and he doesn't have, I think he has 2 losses by knockout out of his 5 losses, 14, fights that he's won. So to me, that just means that he's got good defense. I didn't really watch any of his videos, but looking at his record up and down, I mean, he spots some pretty decent guys, decent in his area, his neck of the woods, and he seems to, like you said, he's a crafty guy. He knows what he's doing in there. He's not going to step into something, stupidly and get knocked out. So I really don't know what's going on with this bet here. These people setting the lines, but I think they overstepped their line right there. And I think Svensson's got this.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, I'm with everything you said right there, but I always give experience a lot of credit. If you've been in there a lot and you're going against a guy that obviously only have four professional fights, I think it definitely means something, and it definitely you got to give him credit for it. All right, moving on. Next fight, a guy that's lost in the UFC, and then an undefeated fighter who is making his debut. We got Teemu Packalén, nicknamed Paku, whatever that means, from Finland, and a Frenchman. Thibault GT Gouti. Gouti is the undefeated fighter. He's 11-0. He seems to be kind of comfortable everywhere, but especially on the ground. Most of his wins are by submission. As are Packalén, whatever I'm calling Teemu. As our Teemu's fights, most of his wins are also by submission. So we got similar styles, a little bit more of an MMA whole style for GT, but. It's kind of a weird fight to pick because one guy lost his debut against Michael LeBeau by decision back at UFC 72, which was in July last year, and the other guy's making his UFC debut. So UFC jitters and a guy really needing a fight or a win. I think these are set up for a good fight. But if I have to take my pick, man, I'm gonna take Paku on this one. I'm gonna take Teemu Packalén by probably a decision, but. I think the jitters are going to be a big thing for GT. Who you got?
Yeah, I agree. I think, like we always say, even if you are the first, fight on the main card or anything, or even anywhere, it's still pressure. You're still especially because this whole card is on Fight Pass, and people are going to be tuning in to the entire card mostly because everybody's going to want to watch the card that Anderson Silva's on. So you're going to have eyes on you no matter what, and that pressure is going to be, you know, maybe something that T-Bull hasn't experienced before. 11-0, great record. I mean, he's got some pretty interesting you know his just technique, all around technique is good. It's solid. But I agree with you. I think Timu he's got already one fight under his belt in the UFC. Like you said, I think he's got 5 submission wins, right, out of those 7 wins that he has. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, this guy, he puts you down either by submission or he puts you down and then submits you. He goes for the finish. He goes for the kill. And I think that's what we're going to see in this fight. I think it's going to be a real interesting fight stylistically because to me it kind of looks like Packlin really tries to go for the finish and what is it, GT, his nickname?
Yeah, GC.
What the hell does that mean,
I have
GTY?
no idea.
For a car or what? Anyway.
What did GT mean for car anyway? Fuck, I don't even know what
Uh,
that means for cars. Anyway.
Um, yeah, but it might be that like I was saying, GT, he has kind of like this all around style, really not great everywhere, but he's proficient in everything, So I think it's just going to be a really good stylistic matchup. I'm going to agree with you. I think Timu's going to take this just based on the fact that he's already been in the octagon and his jitters aren't going to be there. I think he's going to be looser in there, and he's going to take that win.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, next fight up, we got heavyweights, and when I saw him at the weigh-ins, it was kind of weird. They're huge, these gigantic people, and they're massive. Oh, by the way, Andrew Reed says Packlin is someone to watch, and
Mm,
apparently Joe Schilling just won.
mm,
So,
awesome.
oh, Bellator's on tonight. That's right, I forgot.
Bellator, Glory,
Glory's on
lots of
tonight. Oh,
stuff.
Glory's on Fight Pass. Oh, fuck, I'm gonna have to watch that on Fight Pass later today because I'm not gonna get to
Or you can watch it
watch
tomorrow
it.
on
All right.
ESPN
So,
3.
no, is it ESPN 3 or is it Fight Pass? I'm pretty sure it's Fight Pass, Super Fight or
Yeah, it's
Super
Fight Pass.
Series. Super
Yeah,
Series
it's Fight
tonight is Fight
Pass.
Pass. Yeah,
Yeah, it's Fight Pass today. Tomorrow
yeah.
you can watch it on ESPN 3, and then Sunday you can watch it on ESPN Dose. You can
I'm
watch
just
it
gonna watch
everywhere.
it on Fight Pass because fuck
Yeah.
it. Anyway, all right. Anyway, these two guys are giant people. Daniel Omilek. Wow, Polish people's last names are insane. Daniel Omilandzuk. Chuck. I'm assuming that's what it is. Against Jairus Danho, the Man Mountain, and they're just massive dudes. Danho is from Syria. He's 6-0. He's a knockout guy, of course. The fun part, Daniel, the Polish fighter, is a submission guy. It's kind of fun
Hmm.
to see heavyweights. Well, it can be fun to see heavyweights do that unless they gas out and bore the fuck out of everybody. But Daniel is 17-5. Has had 4 fights in the UFC. He's 2-2. Wins over Nador Galmino and Krista La Roca, and losses to Anthony Hamilton and Jared Rosholt. So he loses by decision and he wins by a finish. So he kind of, but if we go by that pattern, he's gonna have to finish, Danho to win. Danho, meanwhile, 6-0. He's 32 years old, out of the Syrian Arab Republic. No fights in the UFC, so he's making his debut, and he's a massive. I mean, he's a giant man. That's just a lot of human being that's gonna be in that cage. So not a lot we know about either. Well, we know a bit about Daniel. We don't know almost anything about Danho. What do you think of this fight?
And it's a pretty interesting fight. Like you said, I mean, I think what we notice, um, I think what we notice in what Daniel brings to the table is if you get a guy that is proficient in the takedowns in the wrestling, that's where he struggles. Obviously, losses against Jared Rosholt, which that's his wheelhouse right there. Jared Rosholt is just a take you down and beat your face in, put his like 200 and whatever pounds of meat on you and just kind of wear you down. Anthony Hamilton, kind of the same style, same grinding, take you down, beat you up, clinch with you. So I mean, you kind of see a pattern of where his losses have come from. And Danho kind of seems like the guy that's going to be able to do that. He seems like he's going to be able to move Daniel around and kind of Just kind of take the fight where he wants to go, against the cage, on the ground, and not give Daniel that space that he needs to really get off that huge power that he brings. Um, I'm gonna go with Danho, even though it is his debut. That's the only thing that kind of makes it weary for me.
Mm,
The what the bettors are saying here, Danho's the favorite at plus 105. Yeah,
that's close.
105. And Daniel's at minus 125. So it's still almost a pick 'em fight.
Yeah.
But they're just giving the nod to Danho here. And I think because of what he's done, in his previous fights, and he's undefeated, he's coming in with a little bit of steam. So um, I think he's going to be able to do what most of these guys have done to Daniel and take him down and beat him up.
I'm gonna take Daniel. Hopefully, he goes back to his submission roots, man. Um, like I said, his UFC wins are by finishes and his losses by decisions. He has to try and finish his Danho guy, early. You can't let someone go to decision because obviously he loses those. But I like the Polish dude to get a submission at some point. So I'm hopefully first second round. So I'm gonna take him as a pick. But I was just reading up on Danho right now while you were giving your take on this fight. And you're right. A lot of people are giving him a lot of credit, a lot of weight. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll be surprised and have someone new in the heavyweight division that can make people excited again.
Plus, I mean, for all those people that are complaining about, who these people are, and like, maybe might not know some of these people. Daniel fought at KSW, where
Yeah.
Conor McGregor also fought.
Yep.
And a lot of those English guys have come from. So I mean, I think KSW is now on Fight Pass, isn't it? Or they have some of their fights on there, right?
I have no idea. I mean, actually, look. I'll
I
look on
think it
that.
might be.
Okay.
But I mean, just a shout out to people to kind of expand their horizon and take a look at those, you know, kind of off the wall promotions that have, these up and comers that, we might not know about, but we'll see in the UFC eventually, especially when they go to new markets, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. Real quick, Nick Pilecki, our boy Nick, on the
Mm-hmm.
YouTube says Jesse said 200 pounds of meat on you. Haha! I started laughing. I think he said
Oh my
man
God.
meat, something like that. Anyway, Andrew Reed giving us an update on Glory. Says you missed a fucking brutal reverse heel kick knockout in Glory, probably knockout of the year. Well, now I'm gonna look at that shit right after the show ends. So thanks for the heads up. All right, moving on. Next fight, Stormin Norman Park. We know that guy against Hustam Kabalov. We know that guy. Norman Park, of course, been in the UFC for quite a while, a few years at least. He's like 5'2" and 1-0 contest in the UFC. He's
Right.
got wins over Colin Fletcher, Kazuki Tukunomi, John Tuck, Naoki Kotani, losses to T-Bout and Trinaldo, and his last win was against Hazem Madadi, a decision in October last year. Taking on Hustam Kabalov, another one of those scary-ass Russian guys, who's 17-3, fought in the UFC 5 fights. He's 3-2 on a
Yeah.
2-fight losing streak, but that losing streak was against Benson Henderson and Adriano Martins. His wins are pretty good though. Yancy Medeiros and Jorge Masvidal, those are good wins. And then the suplex fucking beat down he put on let me look at the name, Big Pachel in his first fight.
Yeah.
Suplexed this motherfucker and then knocked him out on the ground. It was fucking crazy. But regardless, so we got a guy that's they're both strikers for the most part, but Hustam's a wrestler. He can throw you around. Obviously, he knocked the dude out with a suplex. So as I usually do, I'm siding with the scary Russian guy. I'm taking Kabalov by some kind of knockout, and plus he needs to win badly. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. You can't have a third. So who are you taking this fight?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Kabalov is kind of against the wall here, and he's got to do something. He's just got to do something, He's got to go back to that Suplex City or something, and he's got to win this fight. Yeah, I agree with you. Even though Norman Park has the experience, 21-4 overall, he's just, I don't know. Like to me, he hasn't really shown everything that he can in the UFC. He kind of seems like that kind of guy that has more in the tank and can do
Mm-hmm.
more. Just really, I don't know. And if you look at those wins that he has, the only really good win in this was his last one. All those other ones kind of kind of against low level fighters that aren't really people that you're going to be screaming about or hearing about later on that they're contenders. So this is actually an interesting fight for me that it's so low on the card. Because I think this is going to dictate where one of these goes. You know, whether one of these is going to move up and continue on to be a contender, or if they're just going to be kicked out of the UFC eventually.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that too. But again, anytime it's a Russian guy, it's just like, you got to think about that shit. That throws a wrench in everything. Well, did you give the odds on this? Do you know?
Mm-mm. No odds on that one. There's like a few fights here that don't have odds, which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I think this one, the first, what was it? The Timu Packlin didn't have odds. There's a couple more that don't have odds, so yeah, this one didn't have odds either.
Nobody wanted to bet on it, I guess. All right,
No.
next fight: Bradley the Bear Scott against Krzysztof Jotko. Jotko, we've seen plenty of times. That guy's got a. I just like saying the last name for some reason. Jotko. It sounds like some kind of toy that they make in like that they make fakes out of in China. The problem with Jotko is I don't see him on the card anywhere where I can pull up his fights. So I'm just gonna shoot from the hip. 16-1 in his career. A decision guy for the most part. He's a striker. He stands, right? He's a fun guy. He stands. Bradley Scott, meanwhile, is pretty. I don't know, well-rounded, I guess you would say. But he finishes most of his fights whether he wins or loses. So it's kind of a dead even. What are the odds on this one? Does this one have odds?
Yeah, this one does have odds. Brad Scott is the underdog at a plus 145 with Krzysztof at a minus 165.
He's the underdog at home?
Yeah. What do you like? To me, this is a tough fight because you got Brad Scott on one side. That's a 2-2 in the UFC, right? Against Krzysztof, who's 3-1 in the UFC. You know, both guys. You know, like you said, I mean, Krzysztof, he's like the decision man. He's the decision master. 10 decisions overall, 3 in the UFC. So his 3 wins have been by decision. So if this guy doesn't really have that pop, or it's like he's just trying to get by and win, right? It's almost like he doesn't have that killer instinct of like, you know, coming in and like finishing these fights. Brad Scott, on the other hand, like you said, this dude comes to throw. 5 KOs, 5 submissions. You know, he's coming to finish the fight or get put to sleep or get put away, you know. He's not coming to you know, pitter patter his way through the fight. So yeah, it's an interesting fight for me. I don't know. For me, I'm picking Brad Scott. I don't know who
that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm leaning Scott for sure. At home, all that hype, and someone probably told him by now, hey, by the way, you're the underdog to the Polish guy.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. Seriously, I get legit angry as fuck. I'm at home, and these assholes make me underdog. Fuck that. I'm knocking this dude out. I'm thinking Bradley Scott's gonna show up with a chip on his shoulder and fuck Jotko up. But again, Jocko's one of those guys, like everyone uses the word durable with this motherfucker, like all the time. Durable. Can't knock him out. You know, you can hurt him, but he recovers very quickly. It's the weirdest fucking thing about the guy. So I mean, I understand the odds, but I'm gonna take Bradley Scott at home with a big old chip on his shoulder, and he's gonna shove it right down Jocko's throat. That shit's gonna be ugly, I think. My prediction for an ugly ass fight. Entertaining more than likely though. All right, next fight up. This is a fun one, kind of, because a lot of people like this guy and I don't. Arnold Almighty Allen out of England against Yatsen Meza, who's getting fed to this Allen guy because Yatsen Meza is 36 years old. And is probably going to get massacred in this fight because as much as I don't like Arnold Allen, he's a legit talent. What do you think of this fight?
In this fight, I mean, it's an interesting fight. I mean, Meza, like you said, he's got the experience on his side. 21-10 overall. You know, he's not. I mean, he's got experience. He's been in there so many times. But in the UFC, he's 2-4. I mean, you're looking at a guy who's on his way out, pretty much. You know, it's almost like this is his last hoorah. You know, hey, have fun, get one last paycheck, and then you're out the door. And the odds really show it. Arnold Allen is a minus 335, and Meza's a plus 275. So, Jesus. You know, they're not giving Meza too much of a shot here. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, you just got to look at what these both guys are doing and what they've done with their career, what they've done, you know, recently. And you look at Meza, he's not doing so well. Like you said, his age, And you know, when you have that much experience, you should be able to at least kind of be able to navigate yourself in the octagon in a fight and not get caught by stupid things. You know
Mhm.
how to defend yourself well. And it just seems like Meza isn't learning any of those things. He gets caught. You know, he gets sloppy. And I think what's going to happen here is Arnold is going to come in there and just utterly just put on a clinic and beat on this dude. He's going to make him earn that last paycheck, I think, and that's unfortunate. I'm picking Allen here in a very, very disgusting, brutal beatdown. Yeah, so not good.
Definitely, and everybody fucking hates Arnold Allen for some reason. My fight, watching lion fights. Is this tonight? Mike Drops just tweeted me asking me if I'm watching lion fights. I don't think it's tonight. Oh, it is tonight. My bad. Yeah, I'm about to watch it on the stream somewhere. Anyway,
Wow,
all right.
lion fights. Wow, we've got like everything happening tonight, huh?
Yeah,
Glory,
Bellator Glory
lion.
lion fights is tonight. Crazy. All right, let's speak through the rest of this card here. Oh, sorry. I'm taking Arnold Allen because I just feel bad for Meza. But the next fight should be Arnold Allen against Sage Northcutt. And just make it like
Oh,
an
come
England versus
on,
USA card.
come on. Why are you trying to kill that kid?
No, both of them. If they both get knocked, like if there's like a double knockout, I will be the happiest person on the planet. Just saying. All right. Moving on. Chris Dempsey out of the USA, 11-3 fighter. And of course, it's a middleweight fight, but he looks like a heavyweight to me. But Chris Dempsey against Scott Askham. Both of these guys have like weird, like I call them cult followings. So all their fans are like super pumped about them, but nobody else really cares. You know what I mean? Like it's really
Yeah.
it's a weird thing to see. I always call them. I always say that they have a cult following of some sort. But Chris Dempsey, like I said, 11-3, been in the UFC for what, like I think a year or two now,
Mm-hmm.
at least. But he's always that guy they shove in the middle of the prelims. So regardless, again, another one where Dempsey's a decision guy and Askham likes to knock dudes out. It's kind of to me it's kind of like okay, whatever, this fight's gonna happen kind of thing. But I'm gonna take the Englishman at home. Yeah, I'm gonna take Scott Askham at home by knockout. Even though Dempsey's the guy who could take a shot. What do you think? Who you got in this one?
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. I agree with you. I think Scott Askham has the better or the better way of winning,
Yeah.
because of his knockout power. I mean, he's got 8 wins by knockout. But the problem I see here is both of these guys really aren't at UFC level, in my opinion.
No,
Both
not
of
at
these
all.
guys are 1 and 2 in the UFC. They're really not showing that they're able to compete in the UFC, in my opinion. And it's just weird. It's almost they have Scott Askham at a minus 360, while Chris Dempsey comes back at a plus 300.
You know,
So I
real
mean,
quick, you want to know one reason for that though? Is if I'm not mistaken, Chris Dempsey is a 205 fighter moving down.
mm, okay.
So
So
it's
they
gonna
think
get
that power
him.
is going to carry over, right?
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you what, he thinks that power is gonna carry over, but I don't see it. That's a lot of weight between 205 and 185. That's a shit ton of weight to lose.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're the big discussion right now is, Conor McGregor moving up to 170. How the hell is he going to get back down to 145 to
Yeah,
defend that title? Most
exactly.
people are saying he's not going to do it, and I agree. When you put on that much muscle, that much weight, I mean, if you looked at him at the press conference that they did against Nate Diaz,
Mm-hmm.
that dude looked yoked and
He was
huge.
massive.
Yeah, he didn't look like he's going back down to 145 ever again. But again, back to this. It's really hard to lose that much, and be at your best. And I don't know if maybe Chris Dempsey thinks that this is going to be his wild card and he's going to have a resurgence. But apparently, people think that's why. That's why he's the favorite here. That he's going to have that resurgence and going to come in and beat up on Scott Askham. And I don't think that's going to happen. I agree with you. Scott Askham, he's gonna knock him out.
Yep, I'm with you on that one too. All right, next fight up, Davey Grant, who was part of Tough 21, whatever 20, whatever one Ronda was on. That's where he was. He was his coach. Take it on Marlon Vera, who was in the first Tough Latin America season and got his ass whooped on every time he fought. Anyway, both these guys I think already have a fight in the UFC. Chris Holdsworth choked out Davey Grant in his last fight. This was in November of 2013, so he hasn't fought in a minute since then. I'm assuming injuries and whatever else. Marlon Vera just fought in August. Got a submission win over Roman Salazar at Teixeira versus St. Prudes. He fought at 73. Before that, lost to Marco Beltran in Mexico. Look, he's thinking about Vera. Vera's not a guy that's going to be, I hate to say, he's not going to be very much in the UFC. You know what I mean? He's just kind of a so-so fighter, kind of guy you throw in there. He is 23 years old. He's got plenty of time to try and learn and get better, but I just don't see it happening. Davey Grant is kind of on the same for me. I can't say he's even even decent, like even a little bit remarkable. He's a good jiu-jitsu guy. He's really good jiu-jitsu. He's really good at jiu-jitsu. He got rear naked choked in his first fight in the UFC. I mean, you know, mind you, I think he got hurt. I think that Chris Holdsworth, I think, hurt him and then took his back. But regardless, it's kind of one of those. I call it a filler fight because I don't think either one's going to do much. Although Vera has more time. He's 23. He's got more time to improve. But if I had to pick someone to win, I'm gonna take Marlon Vera because he's been more active, and Davey Grant hasn't fought in 2 years, almost 3 years. So no, 2 years and change. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm taking Marlon Vera to get his second consecutive win in the UFC. Who you got?
Yeah, I think the odds makers agree with you. They have Marlon Vera as a plus 158, and Davey Grant as a minus 180. I mean, pretty much everything you said. I mean, having that much time off doesn't really bode well for you unless your name is Dominic Cruz or John Jones. And maybe, just maybe, GSP, if he comes back and is on point. I doubt it. But I mean, it takes a really special person to take that much time off and look good when they come back. Most people kind of, have that rust, have that, just don't have that aggression, don't have that feel for being in the octagon. And I agree with you. I just think Marlon Vera has more ways to win, and Davey Grant has more ways to lose. Basically, he just like you said, he's so good on the ground. But to me, he's more of a technical jiu-jitsu guy, more like a competition jiu-jitsu guy, not an MMA jiu-jitsu guy. And I think if he can make that transition, he might be able to catch people more. But it just seems like he's not there yet. So I'm going with Vera as well.
All right, real quick, all you basketball fans, NBA fans, I heard about Joe Johnson getting a buyout from the Brooklyn Nets. Sorry, the Brooklyn Nets. Everyone was saying he's going to go join LeBron in Cleveland and win the championship. Apparently not. He's committed to sign with the Miami Heat, which is it's such a thing for Joe Johnson to do. Joe Johnson would do that shit. Okay. If anyone out there thinks that he cares about being a champion, he doesn't. He doesn't give a fuck. He wants to get paid. He wants to get accolades. That's Joe Johnson. So any basketball fans who are wondering, oh, there we go. Not too much light. That's what's going on in basketball. All right, moving on to a fight. A lot of people are looking forward to. It's getting a lot of overseas. It's getting a lot of fucking play. Over here, obviously not much. But when I say the names, you're gonna be like, fuck yeah, let's see that fight. Mike Wilkinson, 901 guy, taking on Makwan Amirkhani, Mr. Finland, out of Kurdistan. This is the fucking. To me, this could be a fight of the night candidate. I'm a big fan of Amirkhani. The dude works fast. Another obviously the background story of him. So every time he wins a bonus, everyone kind of cheers and cries a little bit probably. And he wasn't part of any tough. I think they signed him to fight in Sweden one time last second, and he got a quick fucking knee knockout. All right, so Mike Wilkinson coming off a win in October, 2 years ago, against Nicholas Backstrom by knockout, first round. Before that, had a loss to Ronnie Mariano Becerra, and then his UFC debut in 2012 in December, a win over Brendan Lughani. Motherfuckers get real last names that fucking I can pronounce. Anyway, taking on Makwan Amirkhani, who's again he's the story. He was the story of a couple of these cards already. He took out Andy Ogle with that flying knee in like 8 seconds or whatever it was, and then choked out Macio Fullen in June of last year in Poland, I think it was. Yeah, Poland. Poland was that JJ versus Penny fight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was in Poland then. Yeah. So he's coming in. Obviously, Amirkhani's done everything, but he's mostly a submission guy. Mike Wilkinson, I think, is also a submission guy for the most part. Had 4 submissions on his win record, 3 knockouts. He's pretty well rounded. Let me guess. I don't know if you have odds on this one, but let me guess. I'm going to say Wilkinson has a favorite.
No. I was going to ask you too.
No.
Yeah, I was going to ask you who's the favorite. No.
Wow, that's bullshit.
Amir Khan is the favorite at a -175 to Mike Wilkinson's +155. Um, Damn, I kind of am looking at this card, well, at this fight, honestly, and I think we're gonna have an upset here, in the sense that I think Mike Wilkinson's gonna take this fight. Um, Amir Khani just switched camps, correct? And he went to train with Connor, right? Just recently.
Whoa, he went to SBG. I did not know that. I
I,
thought he
I,
went
I
to
believe so. So somebody
no,
just
I thought he
asked.
went to fucking All Stars or whatever.
No, somebody just asked that right now on the Twitter. Hold on the Twitter machine, as you like to
Don't do
call
that shit. Don't do that shit.
it. um, yeah, I think
He
he
thinks
spent a
he
bit.
spent a bit
Yeah,
of
yeah,
time
yeah,
at SBG. He might have. I don't see
yeah.
why he wouldn't.
Yeah, I think they were asking him about spending time at SBG and training there, and I think the problem with someone that's young and that's talented, switching camps is not really always the best thing. You got to get coaches under you. You got to get people that know what you do and kind of make you better. Just because you have a camp that's amazing doesn't mean you have amazing fighters. Look at SBG and look at pretty much everybody else that's not named Conor McGregor.
Mm.
Pretty much, you know, you had Artem Lobov training there. Sucks.
Jesus,
Um,
he's awful.
who's the guy that you hate? Mister Submission guy that got
Who?
beaten out of the
Oh,
UFC.
Kendrick Kaha Pendred.
Yeah, there you go, Cahal. He was like their number two guy, and he wasn't that good either. He just couldn't
Yeah.
put it, together. And I think that's what we're gonna see here. Mike Wilkinson, very, very good everywhere. He just screwed up against Hani Jason. Hani
Yeah, he
Jason caught
did.
him in a submission. But to me, it seems like Wilkinson is the type of guy that learns from his mistakes very quickly, and is the guy that shores everything up and makes sure that it never happens again. 9-1, I think he's going to be able to come in here and upset Amir Khani and derail that hype train that they have going on. But I think it's going to be a really, really good fight. Yeah, I agree with you. This might be one of those fights that we're going to be, talking about for a while, until next Saturday when nobody talks about anything else except that.
Except Nate and McGregor. What? How about that? Nate Diaz and McGregor and Conor McGregor are overshadowing every other card. Like no one's
Yeah,
talking about
probably
anything else. For a while, people were
forever.
like Jones and DC two, Jones and DC two. Now it's like Nate and Conor. What? It's like mind blown for everybody. All right.
My
Next.
favorite is people don't even know that there's another title fight on that card. They're
I
like, oh
know.
yeah, Misha's fighting, huh?
We should gonna get knocked out, huh? And all the people, and a lot of
Ah,
people,
come
you
on,
included, think she's
come
gonna
on.
win, but whatever. Anyway, I'm taking on Mercani in this fight. I think the hype is real, so hopefully, Look, I just want to see a good fight in that one. It's one of those fights where I want to see like a really good fight, including this next one that I think is gonna be fight of the night. Where we got Francisco Rivera against Brad Pickett at 135 pounds. Two guys that like to throw and throw hard. Um,
And this is why we can't have you as the guy that picks fight of the night, man. You've got two fight of the night so far. You'd be handing out 50,000 bonuses everywhere. You'd be like
as long
Oprah
as
over
it's
there, and you get a bonus, and you get a bonus.
You get a bonus. Look, man. As long as it's not my money, I don't give a fuck. All right. So anyway, look, Francisco Rivera's been in the UFC for a while. He's been in a kind of a shitty fucking run lately. His last 5 fights, he's 2-3.
Hmm.
Wins over George Roop and Bruce Leroy. Well, not that Bruce Leroy with one punch. That was nasty. But the 3 losses he has to Takei Mizugaki by decision. He got bulldog choked by Uriah Faber. And then John Lineker got him in a guillotine choke. So you want to beat him, you got to choke him, kind of. I mean, pretty much, right?
Hmm.
That's kind of how you beat him unless you knock him out. Brad Pickett is not a submission artist or a
Hmm.
wrestler, I don't think. He's a guy. Well, he has 10 submissions on his record, I think, but it's mostly after he hurts guys, right? But
Yeah.
Brad Pickett, he's a 3-fight losing streak. This is it. He needs a win really, really bad. 37 years old for Brad Pickett, 34 for Rivera, if I'm not mistaken. Last 3 fights for Pickett, losses Thomas Almeida, which anyone's going to lose to. That guy's a beast. Chico Camus, who in my opinion was like just kind of I thought that was a bad decision because it was split. And then Ian McCall, which makes sense. And then before that, he beat Neil Seery by decision and lost to Michael McDonald. He's just very inconsistent. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so I like Francisco Rivera to get him kicked out of the UFC. Rivera by knockout. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are looking at what Brad Pickett has done recently, and I think we're all nostalgic for what Brad Pickett was before he got into the UFC, when he was one punch knocking out dudes and laying dudes out. His style is exciting. I think they're gonna give him a big hometown reception here. He's a London guy, right? He's like actually from
Mhm.
London or something. Um, but yeah, I just don't see how he gets past Rivera's power. Rivera is just he's one of those guys. He's a little guy, but he throws heavy. He throws heavy and hard. And I think he's gonna knock Brad Pickett out. I mean, we've seen Brad Pickett get a little chinny recently. He used to eat shots, and now he kind of just gets wobbled and gets put away by shots that he would normally walk through. He's also done what two division changes, correct? He
Yep.
was, he was fighting at 135, moved down to 125. I think now he's back at, you know,
135.
yeah, he moves around way too much. He's just trying to find his place, and I think it's just time for him to hang him up. Really, at this point, you don't want to see him get too many knockouts in a row. And again, the odds makers agree with us. Brad Pickett is the underdog at plus 135. Rivera at a minus 155. So I mean, still, they have it at a close fight because both guys can throw, both guys can end the fight, with one shot. So, but they still give a nod to Rivera. So,
Yeah. All right. And I agree with that. Rivera's just, I think Brad Pitt is just done
mhm.
fighting. I think he's done fighting. I think, what, honestly, I think win or lose, he's just going to hang it up here. But I think if he
He
wins,
should.
I think if he wins, he's going to hang it up. If he loses, he's going to think about fighting one more time. So at least end on a win or something, but we'll see. All right, moving up here. Another guy that people are excited about, Tom Breeze, who I'm totally going to root for because he beat Kyle Pendred and he sent it to retirement. Fuck out of here, Pendred. So Tom Breeze against Keita Nakamura. Nakamura is super experienced, 31-6-2. Tom Breeze undefeated at 9-0. I like this fight for the fact that Tom Breeze gets a legit veteran of the sport who could possibly catch him in something, but I don't see him beating Tom Breeze. And I'm assuming that the odds makers agree with me. Who you got?
Oh yeah, the odds makers. This is like the biggest difference. Um, oh, of course, Andy would go for Brad Pickett. Of course he would. Anyway, Tom Breeze
Hmm.
is the favorite at a minus 1,165. Yeah, 1,165. And Nakamura's a plus 750.
So they're basically
If
telling
you're
Nakamura, don't even show up, bro. Don't worry about it.
I mean, look, you look at Nakamura's record. Yeah, he's experienced, but
Mm.
every time he's been in the UFC, he just doesn't do well. He doesn't do well. I mean, he lost to Rob Emerson, his second stint in the UFC. His first stint, he lost two fights in a row and got booted out of the UFC. This is his third time in the UFC. He finally gets to win his last fight. Um, I don't know. It's almost like he's just kind of built himself up to at least have one or two wins in the UFC, and pretty much that's about it. That's all he's got. You know, a lot of people might remember Nakamura, just because he's one of those guys that hangs around, does a lot of interesting fights all over the place. But I mean, he really, they're really not giving him a shot in this fight. And I agree. I think Tom Breeze has an all around style to really neutralize what Nakamura does and really put a beating on him. And I think that's pretty much what's going to happen. Tom Breeze, the biggest favorite in this on this whole card, and I think he's going to prove it.
Yep, I agree. I agree with that as well. All right, moving on. Co-main event: Gegard Mousasi against Talos Latis, whatever. Talos Latis, 34 years old, 25-5 out of Nova União. So same gym that all the training's at. Coming off a loss to Michael Bisping in July of last year. Before that, had a nice long win streak. Guys like Tim Boetsch, Francis Kermont, Trevor Smith, Ed Herman, Tom Watson. Those are all UFC wins. And then comes back in July last year and gets decisioned by Michael Bisping. So he's not a guy that's like on the down spiral, it seems, but losing by decision is pretty shitty. Meanwhile, Gegard Mousasi is the guy that got fucking caught by Uriah Hall in a nasty flying knee, and then TKO'd after that shit. Before that, 2 wins in a row: Costas Philippou and Dan Henderson. A loss to Jacare, a win over Mark Munoz, but who doesn't beat Mark Munoz, unfortunately. And then lost to Lyoto Machida. So he was trying to get some kind of consistency with those last 2 wins, and then just catches a flying knee by Uriah Hall. But it's not a guy that I would say should lose this fight. You know what I mean? I think he's got this in the bag, some kind of TKO or something. But I don't sleep on late whatsoever. But I want to say he tested positive back in the day. Is that right? Or am I wrong on that?
Not that I can think of. Maybe.
I'm a research.
I mean, he is a Novo Uniao fighter, so according to Chael Sonnen and a few other people, those guys are kind of shady over there. Yeah, man, it's a tough fight for me. I think we've seen a difference in Thales Latis that's not good. It's not a good trend, in my opinion. And the odds makers agree with that. I mean, they kind of see the downward spiral, in my opinion, that Thales Latis is on. He hasn't looked as ripped up as he has in the past, and it all kind of seems to stem that once USADA came in, we noticed that a lot of fighters have changed.
Yep.
A lot of their styles, a lot of their ability. I think, in my opinion, the biggest difference in fighting style and like physique all around is Eric Silva. Eric Silva was a prospect, a beast, and once the USADA kicked in, I mean, he almost looked like me, losing a couple of, like 30 pounds, you know, like just not what he used to be like, you know. So, and again, odds makers agree here. Thales Latis, the underdog, plus 260. Gegard Mousasi at a minus 320. Yeah, I think Gegard has pretty much all the ability and all the skill to really be a contender in this division. He's just got to put it together, man. He's got to give a damn. You know, that dude looks like he doesn't even care about breathing or living or anything. I mean, that dude has a total zero fucks given face forever. I don't know, man. I mean, that guy has no emotion, no nothing. And I think we need to see something out of him in this fight. I think he's got to really push the pace here and really utilize, you know, what he does best, which is, you know, using that striking range, using those kicks, you know, and really keeping Thales on his heels, moving back. And I think he'll be able to you know, really beat him up and probably put him out probably in the second or third round.
Yeah, okay, definitely. Yeah, I'm with you on that too. The weird thing about Thales Latis is this is his second stint in the UFC. Like, he had a long ass thing where he's fought. I mean, we don't give him enough credit. Lost to Anderson Silva, beat Nate Marquardt. He took Silva to decision back in 2009, which is kind of impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, again, we're looking at a guy who was an amazing fighter, and now has all of a sudden changed. It just seems kind of weird, you know. It's almost like either he aged out of nowhere or he stopped doing something.
No, I'm with you as well. Sorry, I had to send a fucking text real quick. All right. Last fight, main event of the night. Anderson Silva against Michael Bisping. When that fight was first announced, everyone was super excited about it. And then everyone as soon as start talking about Conor McGregor, they didn't care. And then when I started talking about Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz, everybody's forgotten this fight's going down tomorrow. A lot of people I talked to on Twitter thought this is going on tonight. They're like, UFC tonight, right? I'm like, it's Friday. Oh, when's the fight? Tomorrow morning. Who's fighting? You really? Anderson Silva's fighting. You don't know? But it's Anderson goddamn Silva. So Anderson Silva against Michael Bisping. I'm not even going to look at the records. Everyone knows the story of both of these guys. It's very, very simple. Michael Bisping is an endless gas tank. He's a guy that's going to put pressure. Oh, relax. He's got an endless gas tank. You know this.
Google Eye. That's funny.
He's got Google Eye. That's right. That's very true. Andrew Reid. Yeah, no, but it's true. The goggle eye. But Andrew Reid picking Gegard and Silva. Silva to be the man of old and do his Matrix shit on goggle eye. Here's the thing. He does have one eye. And, you know, what's fucking Michael Bisping's got his eye poked out by Alan Belcher. It hasn't been the same since, right? Anderson Silva gets caught with dick pills. Hasn't been the same. Well, he hasn't been the same since he got knocked out by Chris Weidman twice. But the dick pills definitely
whoa. Once.
Twice.
He only got knocked out once. He broke his leg the second time. Come on.
Okay, but he fucked up and kicked Chris Weidman, who TKO'd his ass that way. Okay, it counts. Whatever. I know Nick is watching.
I'm starting to sound like Nick over here. God.
I'm trying. You know those little cigarette lighters and cars. I'm trying to put it to Nick's ego right now. Just anyway.
Nick.
Yeah. Anyway, this is basically my point with this fight. If Anderson Silva of old shows up, just like Andrew Reid said, it's going to be Matrix shit knockout. Simple, quick. First, second, third, maybe third round, maybe, but I'm going to say second round. If the Anderson Silva that fought Nick Diaz shows up, Michael Bisping has life. He's got a chance to at least decision Silva, I think. Okay? But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Anderson Silva's going to TKO his ass. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because Michael Bisping is now a SoCaler, and I like to root for the guys that are SoCalers. But man, it's tough for me. It's really tough for me. The odds makers here, Michael Bisping a plus 230, Anderson Silva minus 270. It's a tough pick here. I really hope that Anderson Silva of old is back. He's back and he's ready to rock and roll. And the only thing that's really consistent here for me is two things. Number one is that Michael Bisping's eye. That's a big factor for me. He just can't see at peripherally out of that eye. He might not admit it, but we've seen it. He doesn't see those punches and kicks coming, and he gets caught. He kind of gets wobbled. The other thing is that Michael Bisping has a style that Anderson Silva loves to kill, which is the pressure fighter. Michael Bisping likes to push forward. He likes to bring the fight to his opponent, and he likes to outwork people. Well, that's not going to work very well against Anderson Silva, who, is the best at, firing back at you and putting you down when you're moving forward. We've seen so many highlights of people moving forward on Anderson and him putting him away.
Yep.
So I think that might be the biggest issue here. It's either going to be that Michael Bisping is going to learn from all those people and back off a little bit and kind of make Anderson, come to him, which is going to make for a very, very boring fight. Nobody's going to do anything, and we're going to have a 5-round snoozer. Or Michael Bisping's going to not care, move forward, and then get TKO'd or KO'd, one of the two. It's a tough pick for me, but I got to go with Anderson. I mean, it's just an obvious choice because of the fact that the styles is what makes fights. And Michael Bisping has the exact style that Anderson Silva likes to exploit. Even if Anderson Silva is half of what he used to be, even half, he still has the skills to put people away that are moving forward on him. And I think that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and Mike Jarvis on the YouTube saying Anderson Bisping is a bad matchup for Anderson. Anderson has a blueprint now.
But Michael Bisping has to get you to a clinch to take you down, right? I mean, he's not an open mat takedown artist like Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman,
double leg guy, yeah.
Yeah, Chris Weidman, just shoots, takes you down, you're down. Michael Bisping's not that type of guy. He has to, clinch up with you, put you against the fence, and then, work from there. So I think that's where the problem's going to be for Michael Bisping, to get him up against the cage, survive that clinch work, because we've seen what Anderson can do in the clinch. We've seen him deliver some brutal ass knees to people. Just go back and look at Rich Franklin and what happened to him. So yeah, I mean, so many questions that need to be answered, and I think they're going to be answered in this fight.
Oh, okay. All right. Real quick, I think this matters. Anderson Silva has a 5-inch reach advantage on Michael Bisping, so Mike's going to have to get in there, and he's going to take a lot of punishment to get in there. So I think that's going to be a factor in the fight. But because we know, just like you said, Bisping's not going to double leg him. Well, maybe he will. Maybe he'll try. Maybe he'll try to pull Weidman. But I don't think he's going to be. He's dominant enough to stay on top and land powerful shots from the top. I mean, at least not on Silva. But we'll see, man. I got Anderson Silva as well. All right. Yeah, that's going to do it.
Damn it, we should have picked Michael Bisping just to stab at Nick a little bit more.
Stab at Nick and Andy. Andy's not a Bisping fan whatsoever. He's not a homer.
Yeah, let me give you my little parlay here for those bettors out there. So looking at the card, there's two parlays that I picked out. One of them is a hopeful parlay, and one of them is a pretty good bet. Martin Svensson at a plus 170. You also have a Brad Scott win at a plus 145, and Mike Wilkinson at a plus 155. A $10 little bet will net you $158. And if you replace Mike Wilkinson with the other Mike Bisping on this card, that'll net you a nice $208. Both of those for $10. If you're really thinking that Mike Bisping's style can really beat Anderson Silva, which a lot of people somehow are thinking that's going to work, make that bet. Really just make that bet. And if you want to get crazy, just straight up bet Nakamura. I mean, if you want to get crazy, he's a plus 750. I mean, for bang for your buck, that's going to give you some money if he wins.
That means if you bet $100, you get 750 if he wins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, that's not a bad bet if you really have faith in Nakamura beating. I don't think it's gonna happen.
If you have $100 you never want to see again, bet that. You never know.
That's what people are telling me about Nate Diaz, but I'm not buying that shit. Anyway.
Come on, Nate Diaz. Come on.
He's got a shot. Stop hating.
Okay, does he really have a shot?
He has a shot.
How?
He's not because he hasn't lost before the fight even started. Every guy McGregor's fought lost before they even got in the cage. Agree? Come on.
Not okay. The only person I can clearly say that didn't was Max Holloway.
Yeah, well, okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, but everybody else, Poirier, Seaver, everyone was all rattled and mentally fucked before the fight even started. So, Nate's not. That's why I give him a chance. He's not going in there with the Mystic Max shit. He's going in there like, fuck this guy, let's go. You know what I mean? And he actually means it. He didn't give a shit. So, but yeah, we'll talk about that on the next preview show, which I'm excited for because that's going to be.
I'm gonna be from Vegas.
Yeah. He's gonna be hitting us up from Starbucks in Vegas so we can fucking do this shit.
No, I think I'll be in the nice hotel that time.
Yeah, do that shit. That's nice and chilled. In fact, stay in there. Don't go outside because it's gonna get nuts. It's gonna get crazy. All right, fellas. Thanks for joining us.
Cali. We'll have a good contingent from Cali.
Really? I hope so.
Yeah, man. All the Stockton people, I'll just be like, yeah, I'm from Cali.
What up? And afterwards, be like, hey, man, I'm from Ireland. Where's your accent? Lost it when I was 5. I don't know. Anyway, all right. You can follow Jesse at Spawat1983 is the second Twitter handle on this side here. Follow me at Ela31. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I won't be watching the prelims. I'll be doing another race tomorrow, but I should be home in time to watch the main, what's considered the main card at about 1 p.m. Eastern. No, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. So I should be back in time to watch that. So I'll be shooting the shit with everybody about the fights. Bellator, Glory, Lion fights, all going on right now. So if you're bored, go watch that shit. All right. Yeah. So thanks for watching tonight, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.